Are you a working farmer all your life, or are you
I'm
working?
not a farmer at all. I don't have a few cattle. And I worked most of my life. When I started with the council, county council, labouring just, and then I went on to maybe better things. Then I went to ready mix. I was 30 years working with ready mix. In Ahamore, yes, in Sligo. You know, but, the farming part of it, I never had more than a few cows on just a sideline, you know, and it's just a pastime really. You wouldn't be able to eat ice cream with all the farming I do, you know. But if you're fond of cattle, you're fond of cattle,
Yeah.
and if you have them, it's something you get into and you can't get out of them. You're just like it. It was only just this very day that I went out to the mart in Dower. I shouldn't be doing that at my age, as the family says. But it's great to get away and to go out and meet the lads and maybe go out for one or two drinks and see how the prices is going and all that. So it passes the time, you know. That's good.
Just your background is kind of growing up. Was it a shop, your family?
Yes, yes, indeed. I grew up. We had a little country shop. For 3 or 4 generations. I really don't know how much, but it's surely 3 or 4 anyway. Everything came there. Well, I suppose I'll tell you what. It was, we kept a horse and cart. We were 7 miles away from the mill. We had, that's Drumahare. So we had to go down, when we weren't able to do it. My father had done it himself, and then he maybe had some neighbour fellas do it. He'd go down to Drumahare and he'd get all the stuff, maybe 4, 5, 6 bags of flour, 6 bags of meal, clarenda, all the rest. Sugar, the whole thing there, whatever. And he'd draw that home and bring it into the shop, and it would be sold, because we were really in a kind of a mountainy area. We wasn't right here now, 4 miles up.
Up where Hubert is,
really where Hubert is, across from where Hubert is. So we continued that, and we still had a small little farm and a few cows and all the rest. And we wasn't too... there was an awful lot of people in that area at that particular time. As I told them the last night, I could sit down. There's nobody there now, only Hubert and a few more. But I could sit down any day and count 80 to 100 families that used to come to our house. And of course it was with very small money, but it didn't make enough money to keep going that time. And it was hard and it was easy, it was good, because my father made a fairly good living on, my father and mother. Well, my father really, he got a good start because he married a Yank. My mother was in America for 9 or 10 years. And even though, I'm not going to blow or brag or anything, we were probably that little bit, we had nothing more than any other, but you had a few shillings more than any other, some other body, you know. I wish I'd appreciated it at that time, but I didn't, you know. But I remember the ration, of course, when during the war, when you got your leave and you cut out whatever coupons was allowed, and you only got so much. And that time they used to, as we said, debate the last time it was really eggs that all them country people in our area was living on that time. There was no work, no employment, no nothing. In fact, there was absolutely nothing. Maybe a few weeks at the county house. But the people, the women was great. Of course, they were great women. They kept the hens, an awful lot of hens, and they washed and brought in the eggs. And to the shop, we paid them. Naturally, we give them the groceries, and they'd have money left over. And they bring the groceries for the week, and they still have money left over. And we brought the eggs then. Indeed, some of them, it was okay, but some of them wouldn't, where there was no women and bachelors and all the rest, and maybe some of the women wouldn't wash the eggs so well. My mother spent so much time, I can see her yet washing them. And we had to bring them into them here and into a man by the name of John Byrne. And he supplied, of course, I think he exported eggs, some of them, but he supplied the mental hospital, for one, as Hubert says the last time. I forget how many people. There was about 1,400 people there on general hospitals and all the rest, all these big. And that was most of our. I had to go down there 3 times a week to the store, maybe when I should be going to school. But my father got sick as he got older. His health wasn't all that great because he was one of the old IRA men. I hate saying that. He was so harmless and quiet and never done a hit wrong in his life. And most of the old IRA men didn't anyways. And he was in jail for
6 months.
6 or 12 months.
6.
And his health broke down there because conditions was fierce bad. Handcuffed to he always told me about that fella. He was handcuffed to with TB, and he was handcuffed to him, and he died in handcuffed to him. And they used to have eat out the plate, the two of them, one plate with their hands. And during the night then, they wouldn't be let the toilet only one time, so once a day. And there was no place to go, only down into the whatever they were. I can't say a room, it was a kind of a cell. And he couldn't go along with that because he you know, it was very hard. You know, you'd want to be brought up in that kind of an atmosphere, and he wasn't, you know. But anyways, when he left there, his health broke down. That was it. He really, his health never came back right, but he wasn't bad, you know. But then that's the story with my father. There was nothing. Of course, little chap. Everybody say, well, you have lots of money, and you have lots. Hubert was going to make me a millionaire with what he was saying about Keavney's shop and Keavney's shop. But you know, it was grand, and we did have a couple of shillings, I suppose. But that time in a mountainy country area, you had to wait nearly from Christmas to Christmas or some other time. We said there were set times. And all the people left them country areas at that time, of course, and long before that, and the relations in America. And what they did was they'd wait and they'd get the money from their relations, maybe sons, daughters, aunts, or uncles, and that from America. And they were terrible honest. You'd never be left out. But you'd have to wait so long, and maybe to celebrate something like that. And you'd have to wait so long that you'd want that much money, you'd have to keep going, you know, until they'd come. So we managed that, all right. But I often seen my father tight enough at times, you know, when he had 6 children, and as we grew older, and maybe taking an odd few pence out of the till and all that, he found the pinch.
Were you one of the kind of few people that had a horse and cart there, which is why you were able to?
Was I one of the?
A few families.
Oh, I was. Oh, yeah. It was really like a care in a way. We had a horse and we had a trap too. You know. You know the roundabout trap. You see them now sometimes. We had that for going to mass and go to town or go to Manorhampton or go to some other place. And our trap was used for everything. Christian children. Everybody came from my father. My father stood for more children because he couldn't count them. Because he had the trap, the same as having a bicycle or a motor car. And there were very few horses and carts that time. No, very, very few. We used to have we done an awful lot of work for people, you know, and they ask you to, you don't know anything about putting in reeks, just gathering hay. And I'm not saying we're the only ones, but there were few and far between. In those days.
Was a very well-read man.
Oh, he was. I often blamed him because he was so educated in his time, and he thought all of us should be as good as himself. And very little schooling we all got. But then everybody came from to write letters. He wrote more letters to politicians, and politicians that he didn't go along with. But he wrote the letters anyway because. there was so many people up there and around the country, in every part of the country that time that couldn't read or write. There's some of them yet. And so my father had fixed all the forums, for the Dole forums. They knew whatever came out, knew. My father had to fill the forums. Yeah, and I always remember him writing to Mary Jo Riddens. Everybody wanted to write to Mary Jo Riddens in Ballinamore. So that was part of our life now, and I don't know, we then, as the family got big, they began to leave. That was really the lonely part of it in our time. The only thing about living out the country that time, you had great neighbours, and everybody helped each other. And I really thought, well, it was a lovely time. I thought it was a lovely time anyways, because you could leave the front door open, the back door open, you could lie outside the door if you wanted to lie outside the door. And then when I grew up a bit, well, our house, of course, in County was having the little shop. It was a meeting spot for everybody. And that time, we only talked about them the other night, some of the girls that used to call that time. Now, myself and the brother, he's down the road, and if he was here, he'd be better than me. But yeah. We talked about this particular girl. There was, I think there was 8 girls in the family or something, and they were Brian's. My brother said to me, he's older than me, indeed. He says to me, he says, no, wasn't, remember Maggie O'Brien Deuce? She was one of the girls, I says, she was like a mother to me, says I, and she was a lovely girl, beautiful. He says she was a real Maureen O'Hara. I said she was a real Maureen O'Hara. Well, he says she was long better looking than Maureen O'Hara. You know, there's such a lovely girls was here at that time, and hadn't the money and hadn't the, but they went to England, and they were great girls, great family altogether. And they sent home all the money they could. All our children sent home all the money. Our family did too. But then when they started to go away, that was a sad part of it. It was sad all over the place. Like the O'Briens went and our family went and all, but I always remember very sad in our house. Well, the oldest was special, of course. She left. She went to the nuns first. And Big Golly, she was there for a while, and she really intended to be a nun. But my father, as she went on, didn't like her to be there. And we heard every kind of reports about it. And he sent for Rania and brought her home. She then went to Northern Ireland working. And she worked with a Protestant family down there, not saying anything, I don't know whether I should mention them or not, but one Protestant family gave her an awful hard time for it altogether. Now, a Catholic family could give her a hard time for too. I'm not saying one thing or the other, but then she went to another, she left her anyways, and 10 shillings a week she was getting. And then she went to scrub it without any yard and scrub and what had him, but she was a very smart girl and all the rest. But anyway, she went to another Protestant woman then, and she was treated like a lord. So that's the difference. You get good and bad on every side, you see. So she left there and she went to England. And she stayed there for a couple of years, and she came home, and this fella, a cousin of hers, wrote to her and asked her would she like to go to America, and she went to America. And she's in America now for a lifetime. She's 81 years, and she's only after retiring. She worked up the whole time, and she's better than any of us yet. And she's coming home next year with God's help. So then she was the first. Patrick Hugh was the next, the fellow I'm talking about. He went over for 10 years about it. And he stood there, and he came home back then and bought a little farm here, down here below, and he married a Mayo woman, and they got on all right. Indeed, she's after dying. Lovely woman. And then Gabriel went, and Bernadette went. There was 4 girls and 2 boys. I was the only one that didn't get the chance of going away. And I was very sorry that didn't get the chance of going away, but as they left, my mother and father was older when they got married. My father was 35 years and my mother was 33. She always told me she was an old maid. And just as I do talk about her, a little story that she told me about, she was going with a fella, going to be married to a fella in America. And because she got, her sister got sick here. And she said she'd come home and take care of her. Because she was expecting her first child, this particular woman. And my mother came home and took care of her and buried herself and the child. And didn't she meet my father in the meantime? And she got married to my father. And as I grew up, I remember, well, a fella coming to our house, a Yankee. And I remember him coming into my mother into the little shop, you know. And by golly, I always remember my mother saying, "Go, will you please leave? I don't want my husband to see you. I don't want you to raise any fuss." That time people were very particular, you know. And instead of bringing the man in and giving him tea, it was her old boyfriend that she was going to marry anyway. And I always thought she was so silly that didn't bring the man in and all the rest. But sure, he was only just wanting to talk to her. But that was it. She never went back to America. But all the children, the 4 girls and Patrick Hugh went. And the 4 girls, well, one of them came back and she lives in Galway. But they're making a good living and they're doing grand. And Patrick Hugh is here, he's 78 years now and he's as big as a bishop. He's about 22 stone weight and his wife is after dying and he's doing well. We should be very thankful. There were 6 of us in it and we're all around it. And the oldest is 81 and the youngest is 70.
Well, at that time, what kind of year did that emigration start?
Well, as far as I can remember, well, of course I can't remember an awful long time back, but Patrick Hugh went in 49. It was on before that, but of course nothing was as bad as the 50s. I thought the 50s was desperate. Baby, my Veronica was gone in 47. Patrick Hugh went in 49. Well, then there was 3 girls left. So they went gradually. But the 50s, they had to go. Everybody was going. There was nobody left. I had to, only for one fella now, I had to go down to my here to meet young people. There was no young people. And I always thought it was kind of lonely in a way. My father and mother was old and I didn't like to leave them, you know. And they were nice, but still it was a lonely enough life. But I always went out and all to the country. One day I went to 2 Welsh dances and I don't know, drink and all the rest. And I was working with our council at the time. All I could get around here, you know. But the 50s was an awful lonely time. Everywhere, and it was the wettest time. You're talking about rain now. I do hear them talking about rain. It never could rain in the 50s. Never. It kept raining all the time. And everybody just left. Everybody that could leave. England and America. Them all went. But none of our ones that go to England. Well, they would go, but my father wouldn't let them go. He probably remembered too many things. He was a real Republican, you know. But one of the nice, quiet, very quiet men that never done anything wrong. In fact, he went for an IRA pension. I remember way back an awful long time ago, and 3 men along with him went. And he was awful honest, and they were sworn, and they were asked were they were fired on. Just to get their pension, they'd answer a few questions. So they said they were, which they were, and they were asked did they return the fire. So my father said no, the other boys said they did. But of course it wasn't true whatsoever. My father got no pension, but the other fellas enjoyed a pension all their life. Now, whatever was right to do, I don't know. I didn't think it much of a sin if my father had to say. But however, he done without it anyhow. No matter who was going away, there was a dance that night. Just a dance like in a country house like this now. Might be no carpet or wooden floors or anything like that. And only concrete, cement. And whatever musicians should be around the place, they'd be asked and they'd come and they'd play away the whole night. And there was tea. Well, the one thing about the country that time, they might be poor, but there was lots to eat. You were never hungry. Why? Because everybody was self-sufficient. You had the basics, you know, lots of potatoes, lots of eggs, lots of cabbage, lots of everything. So before they went away, there was the whole night, they danced the whole night until the person was going away. And all left goodbye. And I can well remember my father and mother. We had a fence in front of the house, and they used to go out and you could see them crying. I thought it was awful sad, you know. But then when they'd go over there and they'd right back again, and it was grand. They got over it, you know, and they got used to it. And it was really like a death. No. That's what I always thought it was like, and I was at all them functions, and it was the very same in the whole lot of houses, very same.
So what would go on all night, and what would happen in the morning? Where would the people go?
Go home. Leave the car. The taxi would pull up. It was a man the name of Owen Doran that had a car. Now there was no car. There was only 2 cars at our church in Keavney that time. Might be a few more in Dromahair, or naturally be a good more in Sligo. But the taxi would go on, they'd go away, and my father would have always left them in Cove that time. And maybe before that, they'd only go to the station in Dromahair, and they'd go from that to Dublin. And the train, they'd go on the train to Cork. But generally, we brought them the whole way. I remember myself going to meet them. And it was to Cove that time. And I went to Shannon years after and all the rest, but there was no Shannon at the time I'm talking about. And it was a long drive. I remember staying 4 days in Cove one time. The ship couldn't go out because there was a storm. But that was all right. We nearly ran out of money and all the rest. Myself and another fella. My father wasn't with me this time at all, you know. Myself and this fella, his sister was going too, and the name of Hannon. And well, that was it now.
And how much would it cost and how long would it take to get from America by boat?
It would take about not so bad that time. It wouldn't take much more than a week, fellas.
No.
My mother used to tell fellas everything, you know.
3 weeks took your mother to go.
It took my mother 3 weeks to go. She went in what, fellas? She came home in 1900, did she? Or 1920, I guess. 1920. Well, they'd want £50 annually.
Yes.
Want them, you know, that time. I think my mother had to bring most of her own food over that time when she went. But I know things is a little better in my family's time and about £50. I remember well the £50 anyways was mentioned. Sure, I wouldn't be asking that time, you know, and indeed I never thought of asking since. But it was £50 because I well remember my older sister sending back the £50 to my father. The first money ever she earned. Well, it might be 12 months and all that, but she sends it back to him anyway. My father paid for her going over. Then, of course, when one went, there was no problem. Because all you'd have to do was address the next one and get them ready, because Veronica, baby we used to call her, Veronica, sent home Patrick Hughes money, passage, and then that went on with everyone. But things was getting an awful lot better at this particular time. As it came down to the young one, there's one younger than me, and things was getting better, and she was going to stay at home because she had a great time of it, you know, and things was improving a bit. My mother spent 9 or 10 years in America, and she intended to go back to marry this particular man, but she was caught and she didn't. She thought the the sister was going to die fairly quick, and she lasted for 3 years. The people that left here, well, of course, that'll be mostly during the famine and all the rest. And whatever little luggages that have that time, it's all stored up on Ellis Island. Everything they brought is still there, and the names of every one of them and all the rest. It must be interesting, you know. So now,
just going back to the shop thing.
Yeah.
About the eggs. What kind of prices were given for them? What kind of prices would you sell on to the merchant for?
I found the books belonging to my grandfather, you know, because you had to keep book, because you had to keep carrying what the people owed you on and on and on and on until they pay. And my mother, I always thought my mother must have done away with them, because there were probably relations of hers that she mightn't like to see that had bills and things like that. And I always regret my grandfather was supposed to be everybody remarked his writing, he was so nice, a great writer. And the books, Phyllis, that I think my mother wouldn't, I don't know.
Which one is that?
There was a lot of, but I always remember reading anyways of the 100 of red Indian meal
Oh, that would be sharp books.
was
Yeah.
3 and 6pence,
Mm-hmm.
3 shillings and 6 pence. And the loaf was
Sixpence. and
6
halfpenny.
old pennies, 6
Yes.
pennies and a halfpenny. And that time they just bought, they didn't come for, it was only for the basics. A half pound of tea or a quarter pound of tea and 2 pounds of sugar and an ounce of tobacco
Yes.
and
Bread soda.
bread soda. There was nothing else, because they had everything else. You know,
Vegetables or anything.
oh, no vegetables, but really most people have vegetables, Phyllis, they wouldn't.
Churn as well.
Aye, the children, I didn't see much of the children, Phyllis, now, but we did
I saw
children.
my mother churned.
Aye.
Yeah.
I think, were you saying that there might be occasional work with the council? Was that for turf cutting? Did the council ever get involved in
Well,
that?
they did. The turf cutting started, of course, during the war when there
That's
was
not the
no.
land commission though.
No, it was the council that
Oh, right.
cut the turf is. Every available man went that time to the bog, but that was for a couple of months in the summertime. And they cut the turf. They brought them to the station and they rode them to Dublin and all the cities around. Because coal was scarce, there was no coal. No, not half enough of it anyways. You know, it's the same. So I remember that all right, but Lorry does the turf, but there wasn't many lorries to bring them, only the CIE now, or I said the CIE now. It was the Great Northern Railway at that time that had lorries, and they brought them to the station, and there was fellas there they were dumped at the station, and there was fellas there to throw them into the train and bring them off carriage, and bring them off to Dublin.
And was this only during the war, was it?
That's about all it quit then, you know, and things got middling, you know, because the coal began to flow in from England then again, you know. So
Another kind of feature of which everyone seems to have experience of is killing the pig.
oh well, we killed at least 2 pigs every year for the shop. You could do that time. But the pig had to be surely 300 weight. The side would be that depth, and there'd be about that depth of fat. But it was so much different now. I always said to Phyllis I'd rear a pig when I'd retire, but I didn't. It was so nice. It was so lovely. And my father used to kill the pig and salt it and all himself.
But I don't think he had it in the kitchen.
Oh no, I heard them talking about it in the kitchen and thrown out the door. No, I don't know, Phyllis, everybody, you know, those poor people, and they had a pig too, and you know, everybody can't be. I'm not saying we were poor, but we were, as I say, we didn't put it in the kitchen anyways. We had an outhouse, and you got a tea chest. Did you never remember? No, you never seen the big tea chest. The tea came in the chest,
Yeah, I remember.
loose. To be about a foot and a half, or a foot and a half.
Silver foil and stuff.
Silver foil round about it. So when that was emptied, you get it just suited lovely because there was 3 cuts on the side of bacon in the pig, and it was just fitted down grand into the box, and that was put down, and an awful lot of weight. No weight, only stones. There was nothing else at that time. My father salted it first. You had to rub the salt into it, niter and salt, and rub it well into it, and well, you had to bone it and all, you know, the whole story, and put the salt in round about in the corners and every place.
How long would it be left then?
To be left for about
3 weeks.
3 weeks, I think, fellas, and then you take it out, and it was as firm now, it was as hard as that. The knife would be hopping off it.
But it was lovely.
But it was really lovely. Lovely.
Would it be salt? Would it be in water or just salt?
No, just salt. But the salt, as the fellas said the other day night, the salt would weep out of it. It would drain out, you know. Most of the salt would leave. But then it was salty bacon, and you'd have to, if you were boiling it, you'd have to boil. It's a salty today, every bit.
Yes, it is.
And only that it's not as good.
No, oh no, it's not.
So we used to sell that bacon in the shop then. Small pig, buy the little pig, a bonnet, buy the little bonnet at a fair. 2, 3, 4, we'd buy 4 of, and feed them. Maybe we'd sell 2 of them off to the factory and salt to them. You'd feed them up. You'd feed them with potatoes and meal and cabbage. My mother used to cut cabbage and boil it along with meal and potatoes. Big pot that time, big round pot. And you'd feed it to the pig. And it would take her about, it would take her a couple of months, Phyllis, to put on all the weight. And then when she'd be fat, she'd quit eating. She wouldn't be able to eat anymore. And then it was time to kill her. They brought her out and tossed her. There was a way for tossing the pig that time. It might be cruel now. They put her on her back and 4 men hold her and cut her throat. Didn't last only minutes, really. You know, it wasn't much. And you'd collect the blood, whatever blood you had, and the guts then was taken out. There's probably a nicer name than we have for it, for this, but the mouth out the guts, and they'd be washed, thoroughly washed. Oh, Jimmy God, they'd be washing for probably a whole night, and turn them inside out. Wash them, and my mother, I remember when Phyllis, it was oatmeal and the blood mixed.
Oatmeal and the blood.
And then she'd
I
probably,
never saw it made, no.
probably put more blood, well, make the blood more plentiful with something, and I don't know what she put into it.
Meat in it as well. Was there any meat in it?
Well, there was bits and pieces that I don't remember what she put into it, but it was so nice, you'd see it when you'd cut it. So anyways, they poured it into it and boiled the puddings, as I called them, and layered them there and boiled them and take them out and drain the water off them, and they were lovely. They were just gorgeous now. You get nothing to buy this good today anyways, but I suppose if most people knew what they were eating, they mightn't eat it, you know, but it was a lot cleaner than what's today anyway. And then all the crew beans and the heart and the whole setup was kept, and it was given away to the neighbours. Most of them. Well, we used to sell the crew beans, but any few good neighbours you'd have, you'd give them some, you know. Aye. Aye, but you would give.
We used to sell the head too for dogs.
Aye, well, I would have went through all that the last fellas. Mostly the raffled the head and had collected a few bob. A lot of men did. We never did, I think, did we?
Oh, no.
Well, you don't know. What do you know? You were only a child at the time. I shouldn't say what do you know, fellas, but I'm saying Phyllis is 9 years younger than me, and I got her coming out of school. Only for that child, I'd get no one.
Well, it's not a lot now. I'm 60 years, and that's it.
Well, anyway, I don't remember us raffling the heads, Phyllis, but
No, but I used to hear.
but they were raffled, and we'll say everybody pays 6 or a shilling or something, and they play away the whole night, and there was a few bob made, you know. And it was funny about when Hubert, you know, they were saying that one particular man raffled and it was pure rotten. It went round, I raffled, you raffled, and you raffled. No, maybe that did go on, you know.
Oh, you know, it could.
Could you eat any part of the head or
Oh, you could. Oh, Jim, thank God you could.
Brawn.
Brawn. They used to make brawn out of it.
But as I said,
Now
I
you
never
could
saw
be
it.
buying it in the shop and you wouldn't know one hit about it. It was,
Would it be the jaws, Brendan?
oh aye, it was all cut, everything was taken off the jaws and everything. And they made brawn out of
Brawn,
it.
it should be something like lunch and sausage.
It should be
now.
something like lunch and sausage.
You know that.
Oh, you could have had it and you wouldn't know a hit about it
But
because
there's
it
brawn,
was
you
sold
can get
to.
brawn yet. I
You
think,
can get
to
brawn
buy.
yet. Yeah.
so it was
Yeah.
actually it was made by
It was just, I don't know the full story about it anymore than it was boiled too, you know. But the old people had saw some ingredients that we don't know anything about. I don't really remember about that now.
No,
Because we didn't make it really, to be quite honest with you. You know,
no.
we just took off the head and probably give it to somebody or something, I don't know, somebody to raffle it for.
was there a traditional time to kill the pig, or would you?
Almost there around the Christmas, before the Christmas. That should be cured and all for the Christmas, as we say now. It should be maybe a month before the Christmas. And then that'd make it awful plenteous for the Christmas. Everybody had lots of meat and everything.
Geese and turkeys.
And geese and turkeys was the same. There'd always be, geese was very plentiful. They were really for nothing. And they were easy fed. And then you had ducks and lots of hens. That time if a woman was stuck if she had visitors come, she would go up to the yard and take the head of a hen and no problem. She had piles of soup, piles of well, lots of meat. They were Jim, the guy, it's all right, we can laugh at it, but they were a lot healthier than what's going today. Or what we're buying today, you know.
Chickens were gorgeous.
They were really gorgeous farm yard chickens that you'd have yourself. There was no bones black and anything. No.
Chickens stuck in the bones.
So, so would you use? You talked about the crew beans, the heart, the liver, pig's liver.
Everything was used. Oh, the crew beans was special. Oh, bacon and cabbage and. Aye, but yet you see people looking for the crew beans, you know.
And the liver.
And the liver and heart and all.
And you mentioned the fairs.
Yeah.
With the local, obviously, would there be a fair every week in Drumcairn or
No, every month.
every month? Yeah, can you?
Every month in Drumcairn, every month in Drumahare. Different dates. You brought your cattle down there. And there was always a certain amount of buyers. Like now. And there was always a certain, some of them they'd be buying for export. And they came, you brought your cattle into the town, you lined them up there, 2 or 7 or 12 or whatever you had. And there was a man to buy your in-calf cows and there was a man to buy your other cattle, but it was really hard because they wanted naturally to get the animals at the lowest possible price.
So they'd meet you out the road.
And they'd meet you out the road and they'd try to buy off you there. So you go on in the fair and they try their best to buy off you. Well, if they couldn't buy off you, they'd go and say, that's all I can give you now. And they'd send some other body down to buy and bid you maybe a lower price. And they did. Another man would step, a couple of men would step in and they used to catch hands and they'd start clapping and you'd hear the souse in their hands. You'd leave her at such a thing and you'd give her at such a thing and we'll divide if there was. The man was given £20 and the other man wanted 21 to divide the pound. Trying to make the deal.
And the person who would do that, who would come in, were they known for being able to get it?
Oh, they were known, but anybody could help at it, you know, because they knew the story. And surely every man that dealt with cattle at all or had cattle at all, they'd know the story.
But there was people for export.
But I know that, fellas. But about making the deal, fellas.
Right.
Any farmer at all or any man with a few cattle knew well how to make the deal. He'd just come over and he'd catch your hand and he'd catch. It'll be what I say now. There's £2 between you. and we'll divide the £2, and that'll be it. That's it. And he'd have to, if he bought, then he'd have to give Lux penny. Maybe that time, I'll call it
half a crown.
half a crown, maybe 2 shillings, maybe less. But it was really hard selling that time because it's so easy today. Just drive them into the market and you're going to get somebody to buy them. But there was always the big fella come around, and he, as I say, he'd try to buy at the cheapest possible thing, and that's what he'd do. He'd bid your price and he'd go away and wouldn't come back near you the whole day, and he'd send some fella down to buy off you and not be sure and don't bid him as much as I bid him and all that. And the evening come on, and how many people, most people wanted money anyway. Everybody wanted money, and they'd sell whatever they were getting.
So
Take whatever they were getting. Really?
And they'd take whatever they were getting.
would you ever come home in those days with cattle?
Oh, you would.
Not sold.
Oh, sure. Oh, very often you went into the fair and nobody would ever ask you for them. Times would get bad. And shipping parties something might happen, and there was no. Well, it's not much different today, because there's times the cattle is good and there's times they're bad, but it's so much easier today. Time of the big snow.
Okay.
And you heard plenty about it yourself. We got up in the morning, the snow up to the top of the roof, the roof of the house. And so we had to get up stuff from the store to keep the people eating. I think we done 4 donkeys the first time. And drive them to Dromahare and top of the snow. At that time, no, the road wasn't clear this time, fellas. On top of the snow, and put 2 bags of flour and 2 bags of meal. This is 7 miles now. 2 bags of meal on them, and tie them on the donkeys, or the asses, or whatever, and walk back the whole way with them. And we done that for, the snow lasted for weeks and weeks. And we done that, we had to do that for surely 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks anyway, before the road was. They did begin, the council came out then and they cut a drill through the whole lot of it. And it wasn't so bad then, the asses could walk. But that time they were going down and coming up and going down through the snow. And that had to continue that now, and that was in 47. And I remember well when the railway was cleared then, there was a bakery in Manorhampton and the name Paddy Kyle. And in fact there's a song about his bakery, but he railed the bread to Dromahare. And by then there was a good drill cut, and they managed to get it from there somehow, I forget, to the shops. But then on the other hand, they didn't want so much bread in times, because they baked all the bread. There was no loaves. In fact, in this house yet, we only ate 1 loaf a week. Phyllis bakes every day. But that's the way that was done. I said I'd tell you that little thing about it, because when I think about it now, sure, I think it was awful hardship. And it was to a point, but we didn't think it was funny to tell you. There was no other way. In fact, we laughed more going to the town that day than ever we laughed. Because people didn't have much value on it, it was the way. We never saw, but I never did since or before saw snow like it.
Was there another kind of storm, a big wind or something, and almost?
Well, I remember well of one big wind. Huh?
We'll never forget that. 3 days before we were married.
In 61. Myself and Phyllis was going to Sligo, I think. And we came the whole way down from the Black Road at Hubert's place. We were only about a mile over from Hubert. And came down as far as my brother lives here. He was after coming from America. And we just were called in there. We knew the wind was very bad.
Collected me at home.
Well, collected you all right for this. But the wind was very bad, and we went in there for a while. And then we said we'd go on ahead, but so the wind got worse and worse and worse, and the trees was falling, one across the other. Hundreds of them, every road. And the wind only continued for us it eased off before we left Patrick Hughes. And
The hay and the fields were gone.
oh, everything left. The hay was brought away. The cocks, at that time it was cocks hay, as we call them, rugs of hay. And they were brought away the very same as a handkerchief. They went round like that up in there. Phyllis's father lost every hay. And of course I lost all my hay, but at the time I was young and I didn't hear, to tell you the truth. When I went back up to Phyllis's house, the father was telling me how he was robbed and he had no hay for his cattle and drive. Only got a job to keep in the laughing at the time. So tell you what you can do. And I wasn't desperately young, mind you. But I don't know how we managed. I don't know how everybody managed. They just managed, and they were out. Well, some men had too much hay because your hay could be put into my room. You see, and that's the way it was. And the weather after that was gorgeous, beautiful. We went away, and I happened to have an old crack of a car at the time. It wasn't too bad for us.
But the hay sheds, Brendan, as we went.
That's what I'm trying to tell him. As we went around the country, down about Donegal in particular, the hay sheds was twisted into a knot. Yeah. That was our example. And trees matched across the road. And there was. No, we couldn't get, that's right. We couldn't get into the drum here the morning of the wedding. You never went down through no. You'd want to go down from here. You go straight down the drum here, but just as before you went to the drum here, there was a castle there. And we had to go up to open the gates, the castle. I don't know what's running in it at the time, but not for us. And go on up and up and out on the other one. And we just made it, you know. And we never got a telephone from America or nothing. I had my sisters and all there, a telegram. We got nothing, you know, congratulations and all that.
Well, we got a lot of telegrams before.
Oh, we got, but that's right. And because there was no post, no nothing. That was what the big win was that we can never forget.
The 16th of September.
The 16th of September, 3 days before we got married. Yeah.
61.
61.
Yeah.
Now someone said there was an awful win before that, and I can't remember it. No.
Electrification.
Yes, well, I heard them talking in Hubert's about that, but we had electricity long before Hubert. Hubert and them fellas hadn't it for a long time. We had electricity in what was it?
54,
Huh?
55,
What was
in the 50s, mid-50s.
I we had it in the 50s, in the early 50s, or the mid 50s, we'd say.
But there were a few people, all right, older
There
people
was.
that didn't want to sign for it. You know?
Aye, that held up the whole lot of it because there were so many people, poor people, that wasn't able to pay for it, and they wouldn't sign for it. And if our line was coming up there now and 4 people on that particular line that didn't want it, then we had it. I wouldn't get it if I was at the end of that line, and it happened with us. And my father was mad, dying for to get it. And he had to go into Sligo and he had to beg them, so they did bring it. Instead of bringing it from Bannerhampton, they brought it from the Sligo area. It took a lot more poles. We had to pay a little extra, but we got it anyway.
What kind of difference did that make? I mean,
The electricity, it made all the difference in the world. It was heaven. Nothing short of it. When you could put on your light, it was heaven, because we had I'll tell you, most people had now for us, we had all the lights that we could possibly get. The best light was going that time was a Tilly lamp.
And then the women got electric irons.
The women got electric irons and got electric kettles and got, you know, as the time went on, people said, well, lots of people said, we couldn't afford that and we can't afford that. But as the time went on, it's funny, a few bob comes out of someplace. And things got better. Fridges came and all that. It wasn't all the difference in the world. But the light made the whole difference for us.
Yes, it is.
The light made all the difference in the world.
so again, before electricity, it was either a Tilly lamp or a...
It was in the beginning, there was nothing at all, only an ordinary oil lamp, an ordinary paraffin oil lamp, with wick, just a wick in it. hung on the wall. And that'd be all right for the kitchen, like. There was a 1 week lamp and there was a double week lamp. And the double week lamp was a good one, you know. There was always cards played in our house and no problem. And
They have the candle in for the bedroom.
there was a candle for the bedroom. And that was a bit of a danger in itself. But houses wouldn't burn that time as quick as they burn now. You knew how to do it, you see, and you knew how to act, and you quench your candle before you'd sleep.
But you never had,
You never missed, you see. You know, we used to go, when I started going to dances, and I could go out on the road with my bicycle. If I hadn't a lamp, I could cycle from here to Drummer from here to Drum here, and then I could go to Kerry if I wanted, in dark night and I had no light. But of course there was no traffic on the roads that time. There was the odd car, maybe. But I could cycle away in the dark. You know what you're used to.
Well, so really it was the telly lamp was
The telly lamp was the answer to before the other light.
Oh yes, and there was a tilly iron too, Brendan.
There was a telly iron too.
So how did this work? I mean, how did it? Well, it was.
You put on a little mantle.
Mantle, yes.
A little frail little mantle on it. And under the mantle then you had methylated spirits. You put methylated spirits on a little sponge and light it and put it up near the mantle. And then you pump the lamp and it would go off like that, light. It's so long ago I can't remember. Yeah. I could kill myself for not keeping these lamps.
Was this a brass thing, the tilly lamp?
Something similar to what you see there now. It was a brass thing. It wasn't plastic now, it was brass. And there was a little pump on it, was bigger. Oh, it was much bigger. And you just pump it up there that way. And you put the light to the mantle.
The mantle now, if you
see,
blew on that now.
If you blew on the mantle now and you could light it the whole time and not hear it happening.
Okay.
Now, we had to, then when we'd go to town with the horse and trap, as we went 2 or 3 times a week, well, once a week with the eggs. And my father had, or everybody had that, there wasn't many had them, but if you had a horse and trap, you had 2 lights on the side of it. So the lights was 2 candles in the car light. You took out the bottom of the car light and you put the candle in it. There was a spring there down under it, and you put it back up into it. And as the candle was wearing, the spring was pushing it out.
And this is for the.
That was for the horse and trap.
Right. Could you see by that light, or was it just for other people to see you? Or?
Well, it was really if someone was coming on that they'd see you. Out of the horse would make his way anyways, you know. You kind of depended on him to come home. And you'd see more that time because we weren't used to the light. Unless an awful dark night altogether. You'd see the road, you'd see where you were going. Now I did come home, drive my father home one night, or a couple of nights, and he took the horse to make it himself. He'd make it.
Okay, just and with that kind of radio, which I mean, there was radio before electrification because you could use.
Oh, there was the wet battery and the dry battery.
Did
Yes.
you have a radio yourself?
Oh God, we had a radio very early on, I'd say, but well, it wasn't used very much that time. I had to laugh at who's us above and put on for the news and turned off. That was the way in a lot of cases. But I was young at the time, and Philomena was young at the time, and of course we were listening to Radio Luxembourg, where all the modern music was, you know. It was really good while the battery was good. And you'd know when the battery would be getting weak, because it would show the light to get dim.
Yeah, but it's the wet one that would get weak. Right?
It's the wet one.
Yeah,
So you had to bring away the wet battery. And we generally, well, Phyllis, you have 2 batteries, you know. And you'd leave in one and collect the other one and bring it home. There's 1 and 6pence to get it charged. 1 shilling and 6 pence, 1 pence. So you get it charged.
And how long would it last?
It would last for about, it all depended on how much you used it. But it would last for 3 or 4 weeks,
Yeah.
you know. And it didn't bother us so much, and you were better for it. It didn't bother us much because we'd be going to town anyway and we'd get it charged. And Phyllis, you were the fella passing the road. Of course, that was in an awful lot later years, Phyllis.
Yeah.
We had to go down to the hotel in Dromahare, and there was a fella there who used to do the job, you know.
So would this be just maybe one guy? Dromahare, not Drumcairn, or would there be some?
No, with Dromahare we went to now. Even though I was beside them here, and funny tell you, but our post town is Dromahare, and that's where you nearly had to go for most things, you know, and then we were always up and down Dromahare going to the mill, you know.
And how long would it take to charge the battery?
It would take the battery, they'd like to have it overnight anyway. No, you could charge it quick, but it wouldn't be as good. But if the charge is good and slow, nice and slow, it would last a lot longer.
Now, like, this is your family's radio, so
Yeah.
would before your own family got it, were they rare enough? I mean, would people be going to visit people's houses for?
Oh, well, there was no batteries, there was no radios, I should say, before that at all. Nothing on any car plane. Our house was noted for car plane. As I say, in County was having the little shop, everybody met there. And Sundays, there was crowds there, the pitching and tossing. And which means my mother had to make more tea, but no matter. And then at night, there was the odd country house dance, and they'd go to it, but that'd be seldom, you know. But generally they came into our house. I often seen round the table on the middle of the floor, and there'd be 8 car players playing. Now it's only 25, an ordinary simple game of 25 for a penny. Penny a head now. And then, and you see 2 old men fighting over the penny, 8 pennies.
Yes.
And then, round about that again, there'd be another row looking round about that. Looking on. And my mother often had to make tea for all them.
Oh, wasn't she foolish?
She was foolish, but she was built that way more than your own mother was.
So it could have been a few shillings anyway in terms of money for people to.
Well, they'd have a few shillings surely, and they'd have a few. There was some men playing chairs there, and they had lots of money. You say James O'Brien and all them, most of them. Everybody wasn't down to a few pennies, but they didn't play for any more than a few pennies. It wasn't really for the money. They were anxious to win, but everybody wants to win. But they wouldn't make anything. No, they made nothing. Not so much you'd make it to be only.
Be over the next night.
But they'd like to win all the same, you know, and they might be out at the next night then. But the fight, if they would rise her out, and they would rise her out, to really, if there was no money on the job, they'd fight the very same, because you played bad. Because I was 24 out, and you let me go, and you bet Amanda had a low count. You know, when you'd want to play cards and to understand it, you know. They'd play wrong, in other words.
And then the player was up.
Why did you bet me and hit the table? My mother used to like it that well, but she had great time for it.
And pitch and toss, what would that
Pitch and toss. I came home from my confirmation. And that's what I spent my whole day at. Pitching. You put up a little stone there or something. Go down. There was a certain place to stand, the same as if you were going to run. Or,
One like dart throwing,
something like dart throwing or something, but you'd be further away. And you pitched up. Whoever be near as they used to call it that time, the spud. Whoever used to be near that, then they'd be pitching away for a good while. There'd be a lot of money out there. I've seen a lot of pence that time, because the full of your hands would be but there'd be 10 or 12 pitching, and you get to toss the whole lot then.
Oh, I couldn't understand it myself.
Could you not? Well, there was nothing to it for us. You won you were the best pitcher, you were nearest the same as the best dart
I
thrower.
always got 20 pence at it, and how would you know which of them was nearest? I don't know.
You would? No, because we'd measure it. And you toss it in.
You toss all your pennies
All your pennies.
towards the
3 pence at a time.
Yes.
And you either went for heads or tails. And whatever came your way, you took it and you put that on to the next man. Whoever was next in line for.
You throw it up in
Toss
the
it.
You
air.
throw it up in the air. Turn it around like that. Push it up, turn it around there. 3 at a time. And you.
Like a lollipop stick now.
Aye, they might like a lollipop. They might come down 2 heads here and you take them, and the next time they might come down 1 head here, and the next time they might come down nothing here. And you went it on to the next man. There was a first man, and there was a second man, and there was a third man. So whatever was left went on to the second man. That continued the whole day.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of that. So you had your own 3 pennies, was it?
Well, you had every man's penny.
You had every man's pennies. You started off with 2 pennies, and you pitched them up, same as if I would pitched on us to that
Right.
cooker there. And another man came on and he pitched. Another man came on and he pitched. It went on and on for 10, 20, whoever was pitching, and whoever.
Well, he'd be to have a few turns at pitching.
Oh, he would have as many turns as he wanted.
Oh, but
But when I pitched the 2 pence, the one that was near the sport, as I say, he'd leave that one there and he'd pick up the other penny and he'd go down and put 1 to it. And that'd go on the whole time. And then when they got tired or ran out of money, they'd say, oh, we'll leave it here. You go ahead, we can't beat you. So that's the only time you get to toss then.
So again, there wouldn't be a lot of money involved. in it.
No money, very little money. The whole lot of it, there mightn't be,
a shilling.
could be 10 shillings for this. You know, there was that Jimmy Keavney, the whole lot of them, lot of them. Because them fellas, as time went on, they had a lot of money, you know. And they weren't going to lose a lot. And they might win it a few bob too. And there's always a fly fella that wanted to get a few pound or a few shillings for the price of a few points. And as soon as he'd win it, he'd hop on his bicycle, if he had a bicycle, and on for a few points.
Just talking about the radio, but when there were only maybe 1 or 2 radios in the area, would people travel towards the house to listen to it?
Oh, of course, they all went all over to listen to my Hollow Hair. Yes.
You mentioned the dry battery, so
Aye, well, the dry battery went in, it was just a dry battery, the same as any dry battery, only that it was a square battery, and it just went in the back of it. And that was connected up, but it wouldn't work without the. But in later years, they made those radio with nothing else but a dry battery,
Yeah.
you know, and that was
Like
really
today,
handy.
I'd say.
Aye, just like the day, you know, that was so much bigger.
because it was kind of a lead acid.
It was full of acid and
Just the process of cutting turf. Apparently nobody cuts turf today.
no, and they don't cut them the same way anyway.
Right, so can you talk a little bit about that? What would be involved in it? What season?
Well, it started in any time from
April, really.
April, May. And first thing you done, you went to the bar and you stripped your bank of turf. That's to take a whole side off it down, and get down to the turf. You had to take about a foot off it to down the turf. And you had to have a spade in, as we call a slaying. Just like a spade, only that there was a wing on it. The very same now, if you can visualise a wing. The spade was across there. But there was also a wing down on it here. So that wing, it cut the turf. It shaped it. The turf was square. Do you see when you went down and cut a bit of it, put the spade down there, you'd have to open up the bank first, take out one turf with the ordinary garden spade. So therefore then you had only the slaying, and you cut down the slaying, it shaped the turf. And you fired it up to the fellow on the bank. And he caught it and put it on the wheelbarrow. So you went on and cut another one, and you went on and cut another one, and you went on and cut. And you continued that over the whole floor. Maybe 20 yards of a bank long and maybe 10 turf deep. and you fire it all up to your van with the spade. You know, and he'd catch it, put it onto a wheelbarrow, put on 100 of them onto a wheelbarrow, as much as ever he could, and wheel them out. You would hardly get an ass to do it today, but they were used to it. Out through a wet bog, and you dumped your ballast turf, turn it up, leave it there. The weather, I think, was an awful lot different, better. You couldn't leave it there for about, well, if the weather was good, you'd leave it there for a week. 40. Then you'd come around and you'd have to, when you'd have them all cut, you'd have to cut it away for a week at what time anyway. Then, after that, you'd have to spread them out. Take them one by one and spread them out. And let them dry. And when they were half dried,
You turn them.
well, you might turn them too. And you'd foot them. You'd put them up like that. And one that side and one this side and one on the top. Well, this would be for,
Dry enough, you put 9 or 10 in it.
if they were dry enough, you'd put more in it.
Depends on
Depends on the weather. And
big clamp.
then you put them into clamps, as we called it. You built them in little small stacks. And they'd let them dry out, and you'd have to bring them home after. And that time, what I'm talking about, well, there was lots of people that do transport. We had no horse and theatre would bring them home, but there was lots brought them home as creels. Did you ever hear tell about creel?
Yeah, yeah.
Baskets, or whatever. Some calls them baskets.
Made of sallies.
You'd see them in Fortis and sometime.
Crease, door, yeah.
Creels, yeah.
Core.
And you strike them at home, strike them up, and build them.
Oh, you from here to the road.
To be from here,
Towards
told
the
you.
road.
Probably 20 years of a good big thick stack. And they build them up, and they could build them that time that they wouldn't take the water, you know.
Put a free on.
And we called it a free. Same as building a wall, only that it was only tough.
Slanted back.
And you slightly slant it in as you go up to, so you have to come in into a head like that. And you might cover the head of it, but that's all. That time. So, it's amusing now to look back at it.
There's nobody cutting turf now. Why is that?
Well, they're cutting them, but they're not cutting them themselves.
And you see, there's a machine for cutting them now. 2 machines, 2 different sorts of machines. And we did cut turf. In fact, I got turf cut myself. I had to only get them cut. You tell a man to cut turf for you. There's what they call the sausage machine. The sausage machine, that's why it's called the sausage. Bruises, it lifts the turf, the bog or the peat, and it bruises it out through a chute. 8 chutes at a time. And they come out just like sausages. If you've ever seen sausages made, they're very same. And they're lying there on the ground. You know, they dry very quick. The hopper, there's another one, a hopper they call it.
Yes, they couldn't.
Much the same, only that there's a big machine now digging the bog and throws it into a dumper. A dumper that you often seen, one the very same as you see in a building site. Much the same, only that there's a little more added onto it, that the chutes, the very same, puts out the stuff the very same as only that they're square turf. Very same. So there's no problem with turf at all now if they wanted to cut them. But of course, people have time to cut turf now, everybody is working. And most people has oil heating, you know. Even though we have a lot of turf ourselves, or we have a range and all that, we have oil heating ourselves, and most people has, you know, oil heating now, and that's the cause. But there is a few people who cuts turf the whole time. Phil's brother always cuts turf when he is.
I know we didn't cut them though.
No, not cutting them.
We had them up in the last year.
There's nobody cutting them at all now with a sling, the way we used to cut them. Nobody.
What's the difference between a slaying and a loy?
A loy, well, I didn't think anybody nearly heard about the loy, because they've many in other counties that don't know what a loy is. But I told you the difference, that there was a wing in it.
Right, so a loy is just like a spade.
A loy is just like a spade. And if you went to cut turf with a lorry, you'd have to cut it down here and cut it down there. So with the slaying, with the wing done that.
The wing is up on the side of it.
The wing is up on the side of it.
You know, not the
Right.
vines. But there's nothing on the lawn. The lawn is
The,
just like
the lorry is only for setting potatoes
and
and
the place
things.
where putting your foot on it.
Way back in times when there was no ploughs, which even God, it's a long time since we worked a lorry. In fact, I didn't do much of it myself, but I did. I worked a lorry. But the lorry is made, you see, with the handle is put into it, the shaft is put into it, and there's a big heel coming down with it. It's very hard to explain to you. The heel is for turning in the sod. You know,
Lazy
the
beds
sod.
and stuff, is it?
Ah, yes. That time it was all. It wasn't yarn, it wouldn't be rotivated, or it wouldn't be anything. You just go to the green field and set your potatoes, and you scored it. You scored it with a hay knife or with the lorry itself, and then you took sod after sod, about a foot,
It's ordinary.
the scoring rope, and make sure that they were straight. And you just went on with your lorry and you dug sod after sod, and you continued on. It might take a few weeks, but you continued on, and then you place a big field of potatoes.
And then you put in the seed.
You put in the seed under the sod, and you mould it,
You harted it.
harted, mould it,
Then you molded it.
and you come on again after a couple of weeks and mould it again. And then when the stalks would come up, you had to weed it. You had to get all the weeds out of it then, and then spray it. Now I'll tell you, all this was very hard work some time ago if we only knew about it, but it was the only way we knew, so everyone knew. And of course the same happened in other counties, the very same, only that we were later than the rest of them. You know, good rich counties, of course, got going quicker. The spade is the handles down straight there.
But at the back of the blade.
But at the back of the blade of the lorry, there was we used to call the heel. It came out that way, and it was hay. So when you put the lorry down through the sod was already lifting up.
Because of the back.
Because of the back, and you just turn it in then, and you went on at that. It's a
You
nearly.
wouldn't be able to turn as thick as sod.
No, it's unbelievable to think about it now. But it was the done thing, and there's no problem at all. You'd hear men talking about this man. Aye, and this man was a great Lloyd's man, and he was a great digger, and he was a great this, and he was a great that. Yeah, I didn't stay all that long in primary school, or in the tech for this. It was. I don't know why I left, or was it for the want of help, or something happened. I don't know. I was going to go away to train to be a shoemaker, and the trade was dying out at the time. Somebody died and you went to the way. There was talk, I always heard the talk before my time, that there was I couldn't believe some kind of slapping. Do you remember the slapping of hands and all that? No, but you heard about it.
Yeah.
But in my time anyways, I'll tell you, you went to the wake, and there was a load of cigarettes on a plate and a load of tobacco. The cigarettes and tobacco went around. You went up and you said prayers for the dead, and whatever prayers they said, and at certain times during the night they said the rosary, all right. But all through the whole night, people sat up. They had no work and they had no place to go anyways. And I suppose the other was the odd one. So they smoked and smoked all night.
And drank tea.
And drank tea. The whole night. And you couldn't leave the remains. That time you wouldn't leave the remains on its own. If it was only two people dead, it wouldn't leave the remains on its own. So that's all was really through the week. There was nothing much more to it that I can remember, and that you went home when you wanted to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And
then the church
then the next evening, it was brought to the church. And you go back into the house and you go in and say a few prayers and come out and you wait for the remains to be brought out. And much the same as today. There wasn't that much different in it. It was in my time. But all the dead was kept in the house them times. There was no thing shifting them off to a morgue. Now they're all going to the morgue, of course, except the odd one.
So the body would go to the church in the evening.
Now to go to the church, it would go to the church the very same thing. Yes.
And be left overnight.
And to be left overnight in the church. Yes. Here in this county anyway, so the Donegal is hutton to keep it over for the 2 days.
Nice.
Yet to do. And bring it sit the church in the morning and bury it then after mass.
That time the people wore all black for 12 months.
Oh aye, when somebody would die you wore black. You always got everybody was in mourning, and particularly the women anyway. If her husband died or their father or mother died or anything, and you
Remember the thing on the air?
no, there was that was modifying it a wee bit, and
It was like a diamond.
as time went on, just a black diamond to do, just to want to show people that someone belonging to them died. It was supposed to be respect and all that, because you wouldn't go to a dance or you wouldn't go to anything funny for 12 months. But they'd have to wash the whole body. Nails and all had to be cut and them shaved. I didn't do mine since I came from the first time. Me shower alright. But every bit had to be done, sent off in good style. And that time it was a habit was put on it. But now they put on the suit.
Is that a brown habit or a blue habit?
It's not a very nice job, you know. It's not a very pleasant job. You'd want to be built for that. And nowadays the nurses will do it or someone. There's always a certain amount of men left out to do that, and they could do it.
Would it be men for washing men's bodies or
Aye.
for women?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, aye.
Man now along with the woman.
There might be a man along with the woman too.
To lift the corpse.
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
You know, but to be
Oh,
a
yeah.
man, a woman and a man for both men and women.
They would.
die,
Oh, they would.
you know.
They would.
Like the women would be better at washing, I suppose. And all
Aye.
that, you know. I did out a few myself.
You did.
It's
Um,
nice to wash it.
It was your sister let out my father washing it. But there wasn't much left out that time. We had a well good and clean.
Up to where then.
So there were some people now, you know, it never changed. The thing never changed because some people dies and they're not out in the country place. They mightn't be that well taken care of. I suppose it happens not anymore. It used to be that way now. But it's not anymore that way, you know. No way.
They're in homes.
They're in homes now, and even at home here, they're well taken care, you know. But way back in years gone by, they wouldn't be that well taken care. But as I say, there's not much of a change and all that, you know.
You wouldn't leave the body. Is there a kind of a belief?
There is a certain belief that you wouldn't leave them on their own. The body wouldn't be left without a person, without somebody with it that time.
When there was offerings in the church, you paid so much. Everyone that died, you paid. The priest would be in the church and he'd be standing at the box, and you threw in one and sixpence, and it went up to 2 and sixpence and up to 5 shillings. That'd be the old money now. That was in poor parts of the country, like about it wouldn't be in big cities now or that, Brendan. I don't think.
I don't think so.
But it's done away with for years.
It was really support for the priest because he wouldn't be very rich. He'd be richer than the men that was paying, but no matter. Well, it was getting out of hand altogether because you paid 5 shillings and I paid 10 shillings to be better than you. And, well, I'd say I wouldn't be at that, but lots of people would be at it. You know,
Gradually got.
it was gradually done. Well, you heap of money then.
So people wasn't.
You were heap of money as things got good, you know.
What was this churching? I was only churched after my first.
And we didn't know anything at all.
No, until Brendan came back, I never knew what I was church for, or what I had to go for this blessing for after the child was born. But funny enough, it only happened with my first child. When the second one came along, I hadn't to be churched at all. But Brendan tells me now that Hubert was explaining the reason that it was sort of
Celebration more than It's not what they said that,
I don't know
Michael.
what it was.
Yeah. It's a bit I think some women are annoyed that it suggests that the womb was unclean
Yeah, perhaps,
after
yes.
birth.
Maybe.
And
Aye,
then-
that's what we all
Yeah.
thought.
and,
Yeah.
and then what Hubert was saying, or some people are saying, is that no, it's the church's rite of thanksgiving for the new.
Yes.
Aye.
So I
It
don't
never
know.
was
it's still a bit-
explained as to why. And why now all of a sudden I should think of it now, and my mother only not 12 months dead, that I didn't ask her.
And then
You know.
I don't think you could go back to receive the
Oh no, you
sacraments
couldn't. No, not till you get this done.
Mm.
Oh. Well, there was purgatory then and limbo, and limbo is no more.
I think
I
purgatory
mean,
is still.
my first brother died. The first child in my family died. And I mean, they couldn't bury them in consecrated ground because they were dead born. So therefore they had the original sin on their soul. So the child had to be buried at the back of everybody had a family grave. And we'd say my grandparents was there, but at the back of that the child would be buried outside of the plot. Because
Whatever sin was on the child, I don't
whatever
know.
sin, because the child wasn't baptized and it died with the original sin on its soul. There's no limbo anymore now.
Is this area called Killeen?
Yeah,
Yes,
killing.
Killing, yes.
And that's a graveyard from baptized children, is what that means, I think.
See, there was supposed to be a graveyard,
Aye.
a church up the road there where Sean Kelly's house is.
At Crossroads or something.
Yes,
I'm not
there's
sure.
a crossroads up there, and there was supposed to be a graveyard up there.
Yeah, there's two houses on it
But
now.
there's two houses on it now, eh?
Well, you see, I thought it wouldn't be consecrated ground.
No, it wouldn't, no.
No, it